How many in the room, I'm going to have a vote here. We're going to have a vote whether you want to continue through the duration, having a question for all the candidates, have them all answer it, or go the individual route in the time we got left, which means you have about one question for each. All right. Anybody on the other side? All right, let's show of hands. Who wants all of them? I think that's going to win. All right, so all the questions from here on out will be for all the candidates. Where's Ken? Back there, Ken. You're vice chair, right there. Yep, here. Go ahead.
Good evening, guys. Good evening, guys. Thank you for attending. I'm the co-chair of MEDEFCO. I appreciate all you guys being here. I have two simple questions. First,
whoa.
It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no question. Both of them. Just it's a yes or no question. First, do you believe in term limits? And second, if you were elected as governor, would you get rid of pensions for all elected officials?
Yes. In fact, my proposal on term limits is to actually take it from 6 years in the House and 8 in the Senate to 12, bring it down by 2, allow them to serve it in either chamber by any combination, and go to a part-time legislature. So shrink the time and make it part-time. To the pensions, as I mentioned in my opening, we're the only county in America that got completely out of pensions and health care. Long-term legacy costs were pre-funded. We're done with that. I'm in a defined contribution, a 401k, just like probably most of the folks in this room. You're setting aside for your own retirement, which is part of why it's so important for us to keep watching how they waste money in Washington and Lansing, because that takes $1 out of your pocket that you need to set aside for your own retirement, for your own college, for your own needs. Every dollar they take comes out of you first. And so I'm a believer in both the things you just talked about.
Thank you. In reverse order, yes, I'm a state employee now. I'm in a defined contribution, the 401k style, like most everyone here. And in fact, that's the case in all state government already right now for any new employee. The only place where it isn't the case is for a brand new school teacher. And so if we put all brand new school teachers in a 401k, we would save $100 to $200 million every year in the state. So all of you parents out there worried about the state messing with the foundation grant, well, I just gave you $100 to $200 million that will make up for the foundation grant. And that, by the way, is at MikeCox2010.com as well. You can look it up. In terms of term limits, it's kind of an interesting question for me because these guys have all been in office a lot longer than me. I'm against term limits because you know what? I think that Americans, when they rise up and they vote, they can throw the bums out. Unfortunately, that happened to overspending Republicans, and they threw them out in Congress and the Senate in 06 and 08, and they elected the wrong guy, obviously in 08 for president. But then we can come right back and we start putting the hit on them in 2010 and 2012, can't we? Absolutely. Thank you.
And yes.
Dr. George just said I could have his other 75 seconds. So adjust my time, will you? I think we went to the term limits thing. In Washington, I think we came up with a great fix on term limits. What we did in Washington is we said no one can serve for more than 6 years as a chairman of any committee. So if you take a look at what's happening on the Democratic side of the aisle right now, you've got people like John Conyers, who have been there forever. But if you take a look at what happened when Republicans were leading Congress, every 6 years we changed all of our chairmen, changed them out on a regular basis, and we brought new and fresh blood into the process. If the people back home wanted to still elect these folks again, they could, but they weren't going to be in the position of power. I think in Michigan we ought to reform it, whether it's 12 in the same house or whatever. It's, go ahead and do it. Okay, I'm for reforming it. But I think the number one job of the next governor is going to be to get the economy moving and not spend a whole lot of time focused on that. But again, that's a people's issue. Pensions, defined contribution, absolutely is where we need to go, not defined benefit.
All righty, over here. How about the red hat lady is there? Tea Party draws everybody, don't they? They even got the red hats.
Just sit down. Okay. You spoke briefly about the MEDC and pick and choosing winners and losers. How do you all stand on the film credit tax thing? Would you keep it? Would you?
All right, we got the question. The film credits. Would you keep them, or would you work to rescind the film credits?
Was it the film credits specifically? I couldn't hear it where it tailed off. Right, okay. Well, that goes back to my point. I'm not a believer that we pick one industry over another, that we pick a big business over a small business. I'm a believer everyone gets low taxes, everyone gets an opportunity to succeed. That's how I voted, as I mentioned, in March of 1995 to oppose that. I believe we need to do that for everybody. The reality is, all the statistics will tell you that's why we're driving jobs out. In fact, when they did the MBT, the Michigan Business Tax, they were focusing on picking winners and losers there too. So it's a policy that runs all through government. What they were trying to do then, in a perverse way, is they were trying to bail out the Titanic, the big three, and dump all of the water onto the rescue boats. And so what happened was, when they tried to save the big three, they went in bankruptcy everywhere, and every small business in Michigan got all the dumpage, and now we're driving them out of the state, and we're destroying small business all in the same breath. So whether it's MEDC or whether it's tax policy, it has to be low, it has to be competitive. First thing we have to remember is, every business has a competitor. If you're selling hamburgers, it's the one across the street. If you're in government, it's another state and another country. And until we make ourselves competitive with the most competitive states, on a broad basis, not an individualized basis, we won't compete and win. And the other thing is, we can't pick winners and losers well. If we could, our pension fund would be spilling over. We haven't talked about this. They are in debt $53 billion in healthcare and retirement in the pension and retirement funds. So if they could pick the right next business, that would be flush. So that's why we have to let everyone come, all businesses grow, and that philosophy will be changed across the board if I'm governor.
Thank you. You know what I find so interesting is that in 2007 there was $4 million in film activity here in Michigan. In 2008 it went up to $125 million. So it was a 6,000% increase in this one industry. And it was because the governor messed with the tax policy. She created this crazy refundable tax credit, which doesn't even just pay off their tax bill, but their total cost. So we pay 42%, and we don't even get a piece of the ownership of the film. Now, obviously, that's pretty crazy, but you know what kills me is the governor hasn't learned the lesson of the film tax credit. That if you lower the tax burden on industry, what happens? It grows, and we get more jobs. And I would, in fact, approach reducing our Michigan business tax, our jobs tax, from the third worst to the seventh best. How you do that? First step, you cut it in half. It's defined in my on the way to eliminate it, and it's in my plan at MikeCox2010.com. Thanks.